Okay, if I had occasion to address the next introduction to your kids, would they be paying attention? Or would they be on the phone, tablet, electronic device? You know, when you're talking about these things, stand-up comics make jokes about nobody's paying attention at home, but it's not funny, is it?
No, sometimes it can affect our quality of life. When kids get too into their video games or screen time, it can affect our sleep habits, it can affect studying, school, grades, even our mood and behavior.
And you know who's telling you that? Dr. Kristen Ray. And Dr. Kristen Ray is a behavioral health specialist who is as concerned as we all should be about how technology is taking over your kids and maybe your life. But there hasn't been a trance in the past with phones, with dial telephones, with music. People would listen and enjoy. People didn't fall into that addictive trance with books. Why this technology?
I think it's just so stimulating. I think there's so many sounds and lights and visual components to it that it's very capturing. And so there's also reward mechanisms with games, so it keeps you going with the different levels and winning the different levels. So I think that it's just really capturing to kids.
Recently, a study out of China said that this was truly an addiction. The reason why kids can't stay away from their electronic technology is the same as the kids who can't stay away from meth.
It affects our brains, and so when kids start making decisions or playing video games at the expense of the good things in their life or the positive things in their life, then it can be very dangerous to their mental health, to their well-being.
But when it comes to substance abuse, I've often heard specialists say you can determine whether it's really an addiction if there's a withdrawal. Is there a withdrawal when you're talking about technology?
There's not a physiological withdrawal, but there can be withdrawal symptoms in that they get more aggressive, or they think that they're thinking about the game all day, and so they're having ruminating thoughts and that sort of withdrawal that they really want to play those games and they're thinking about it, and then they're playing it at the expense of other things in their life that they need to do.
Have you seen these studies in which kids are separated from their electronics and they really do go through withdrawal-like symptoms?
I was reading the study, but I haven't seen that.
The one from China?
Yes, yeah, and they're taking the kids away as kind of like a rehab to...
They're going to rehab and not letting them take their iPads, not letting them take the tablets or the phones. And it sometimes appears with some kids as if you're taking away their heroin.
They get very upset. They get very upset.
All right, so how do parents kick it?
I think the easiest thing is to take the media out of the bedrooms. And so take the TV out of the bedrooms, take electronics out of the kids' hands at a certain time so that they get that quality sleep. They get a chance to wind down and turn it off. I think another thing that a lot of parents don't do that they can is set limitations and expectations for screen time at home. So a lot of what the research was saying, that a lot of parents don't have rules as to how much kids can spend on their screens, and so it's really helpful to say after your homework's done, after your chores done, you get 1 hour every night of screen time, and that helps set some boundaries for some healthier game playing versus the unhealthy where we end up in rehab.
But is it true that there are kids in this study that consider the real world fake?
I think it's kind of a spectrum, and they just kind of get lost in that world. And
this is real.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And all the rest of it is fake. Scary.
It's very scary. Yeah. So it really impedes their ability to have a good quality of life when they're not in touch with the real world. It affects their relationships with their peers, with their parents, and with their teachers.
Well, we've been talking about kids and picking on adolescents. In reality, it's also another study. Little kids were questioned by researchers about their attitude toward their parents and their parents using electronic devices, what do they find?
They find that parents are often more aggressive or assertive with their kids when they're distracted from playing their video games or their screen time. And so, and kids model after parents. So the best way to get your kids, with decreasing their screen time is for parents to decrease their screen time as well.
And some of these kids, 8, 9, 10 years old, said that they felt as if they weren't part of the family, that they weren't part of their parents' lives, because the parents were on the screen.
It's not uncommon to go out to a restaurant at dinner and see a whole family all on their cell phones, and so they're missing that interaction and learning about each other's days and expressing their feelings and thoughts, and so it definitely affects the relationship both ways.
Okay, 10 seconds. What do we do to make it healthy?
2 hours or less a day if the child's over 2. If the child is under 2 years old, no screen time is the recommendation.
And if your kid says, oh yeah, who says so? Tell them Dr. Kristen Ray. It must be true because she was on the Morning Scramble.